Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special Ansira webinar. While we always strive to make these sessions educational, this one is a very hands-on learning dedicated and supported to you who have Ansira websites. So I'm very excited to be a part of this webinar, the first of many like it to come. My name is Erin Zabarak. I am the Director of Sales Enablement for Ansira. And before joining this team, I grew up working in dealerships. My last position was Director of Marketing. So I was the one responsible for what was on the website, like many of you. I was lucky enough to work with one of the, here's a blast from the past, Cobalt account advocates, now who at Ansira we refer to as our digital performance strategists. So she was my person, my go-to for everything, but I still really like to know how to make the edits and updates, and most importantly, what was possible on my site myself. So I know that's why you're all here. We're excited to share this information with you. And I'm most excited to be joined by two of the people at Ansira who make all the things on our websites possible. Kayla Drury, Kelly Ledane, both directors on our product team and Ansira Webinar All-Stars, I would say. I see Kayla already, so hello, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Erin. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So I do still see several people joining, so we are going to give everybody just a minute and make sure we get the agenda up for you to peek at. Kelly, I don't see a screen. I don't know if I'm the only one. Did it? Did we stop?
You don't see the screen?
No. Nope. I'll let you get that back up here. And while you do that, it's perfect though. I'm going to go through a few logistics. So we are recording the webinar today, and the deck is available in the handout section. So we are not going to present the entire slide deck live. That wouldn't serve the session well because it's a hands-on learning. But the slides are a fantastic accompaniment that I recommend downloading now so that you can follow along. And then of course have the resource after the webinar. So this is everything we're going to cover, which is a lot of stuff. We have how-tos, step-by-steps in those slides, and you're going to hear us mention throughout the session that you can find resources on our help site. If you aren't familiar with that, the URL is learn@ansira.com. There are links throughout the deck directing you there. Bookmark that site. You are going to love it if you haven't checked it out already. After the webinar, you'll see a survey. Take a second, tell us how you liked this, because as I said, we'd love to do more trainings like this for you. We want to make sure it's exactly what you need. So I think that's everything for me. Kelly, we're going to come back to you later, but Kayla, I asked you to put together some information on some of the nerdier stuff, but important, the stuff that can bog our dealers down, the user admin pieces, the things you don't know you need till you need it. So I'm going to have you take us through some of this pretty quickly. Kelly, actually go back a slide. I want to make sure everybody knows. I mentioned my person, my digital performance strategist. Some of you work with them at Ansira. In fact, if you do, that questions section of the toolbar, we are going to be taking them throughout the session. Shout out your digital performance strategist. Tell us the person that you love here. But for those of you who don't have that dedicated rep, you all have access to our in-the-moment support. So you can email inthemoment@ansira.com. I mentioned the help site, which has the tutorials and how-tos, and you can also call directly to get anything that we show you today addressed. So now I'm going to have you take us through some of this user admin pretty quickly. You know I love you just as much as my other friends in product, okay? So even though this part isn't as fun. Kayla, go ahead. I'll hand it over to you. Enough from me.
All right, thanks, Erin. Yes, we need to go through the user admin pieces before you can do all the cool things that Kelly is going to show you in the tools. You know, to get in there, you obviously need an account. So we'll go through how to log into website tools if you don't already have an account, how to set up multi-factor authentication and why we have it as an extra security measure, and then the ever popular how to reset your password. You can do that on your own and you don't need to call our support team to do it, though you can if you need a hand. So go ahead, Kelly, let's go to the next one and get started. So first off, when we refer to tools, we're talking about logging into Digital Command Center and Website Manager. Now on Digital Command Center, you can jump off to Website Manager or Inventory Manager or our Insights or our lead tools. And you can also get to a lot of those from Website Manager itself. But just so we're on the same page, these are the two tools that we're talking about logging into today. Go ahead to the next one. So first off, if you don't have an account, your step is to call our support team and say, I am Mr. Dealer, Mrs. Dealer, and I need to have an account to log into my Ansira website. They will verify you. They'll give you a call back at the dealership to verify you are who you say you are, and they will get you set up. When they do that, they'll ask you for your email address, your phone number, and everything to get you into your account. And you will receive an email activation to that email address you provided. You will check that email and you will click the link that says activate account. Do that promptly. The activation email does expire in 7 days. If you miss it, you get super busy, which we all do, and you don't activate your account within those 7 days, it will expire. So trying to click that activate account will not work. Please call support. They will resend you a new activation email, and then you can proceed. But when you click that activate account, it will pull up an account screen for you and have you set your initial password. There will be a guide on the screen for the special characters and numbers that you need to include, but you'll set that initial password off of this activation email. Go ahead and click next, Kelly. All right, and then you'll be prompted here for the login page. You can bookmark this page if you like. Bookmarking this one after you log in will take you to Digital Command Center. It's really your preference for which one you'd like to bookmark. But any Ansira tool that you try to get to, if you are not authenticated yet, it will redirect you here where you log in with your email and password. Go ahead and click next, Kelly. When you sign up for the first time, so the first time you go to that login page, you put in your email address and then your password, it will pop up for you to set up the multi-factor authentication. Now this, I'm sure you're familiar with. We see it all the time on the web, you know, the one-time code to your email or the one-time code to your text message. So that's no different from here. It's going to ask you to set up SMS authentication, which is that text message, or the email authentication. You can also do both when you set this up. A lot of our dealers don't realize that you can do both when you set this up. So when you do one, let's say you do the text message one first, it will ask you to put in your phone number. And then once you set that up, you see the little green checkbox next to the SMS authentication. You can then click the setup on the email authentication and also get it through that means. So that way, click next, Kelly. When you go to log in, oh, sorry, let me step back here. When you set up your authentication, it will email you. So if you're saying you're doing the email authentication or the text message authentication, it will give you these test codes to put in as you enroll. And then on the far right, that screenshot, when you log in, it will then give you the choice. Do you want to authenticate with SMS, text message, or do you want to authenticate with email? So you can kind of have that choice.
Yeah, and if you haven't one, Kayla, if you only set up one, you're thinking, ooh, I want both because I leave my phone in the other office all the time. Reach out to support and help you set up the other authentication. But you know, exactly. I'm the one who takes all the contact us forms when somebody fills that out on the website, and I see password resets, I see locked out of my accounts all the time. So I specifically asked for this section to help out all my friends. You can reset your password easily, right?
Yes, easily. Oh, let's say you forget your password. In previous times, those of you who have been with us since our Cobalt days, it used to be that you had to call us. So I completely understand if you are in that pattern, in that mode, and think that to reset your password, you have to give us a call. But you can save yourself some time and do it yourself. On that login screen where it asks you for your email, there is a need help signing in at the bottom. If you click that link, it will ask you to input your email. That's the email address associated to your account. Click reset via email and check your email. Go ahead and click next, Kelly. So that email will have a reset password link. This one is even more time sensitive than the activation email. You have 1 hour to reset the password using that link. If you missed that hour, go back, hit the reset password again, and it will give you a new email. Just make sure that you are always clicking the link in the most recent email, right? So if you have 2 of these in your inbox, make sure you click the one that you received most recently. Once you click that reset password link, it will bring you to a form to reset your password. That simple. But some authentication reminders here. As Erin mentioned, she gets emails about I'm locked out. That locked out message can happen if you put your password in way too many times. You are sure that you know it, so you enter it, over and over and over again, and you will get that locked out message if it's incorrect. The lockout is temporary. It only lasts 15 minutes, and nobody can override it. I can't override it. My developers can't override it. Support cannot. So if you get that message, just wait that 15 minutes and try again. If that email and password are not working, reset your password. It's obvious that something is not connected correctly.
That's the information we needed. Just wait. We all got to be patient. We're protecting you from the bots. So this is to make sure you're hacking into your website to reduce all your prices accidentally. So you're welcome, even though it's a pain, I know. So
that exactly is the security measure, right? We're trying to prevent those brute force hacking, right? Where they just try different passwords over and over and over again. That's what this lockout prevents. And another common one that we see is somebody gets, they call up support and they get a new account created for themselves. They immediately go to the login screen and try to hit that reset password because they think that's how they need to reset their password. Now, remember, if you have a new account, follow the links in your email to activate your account and set your password for the first time. You cannot reset your password if you've not activated your account first. So go back to your email, get that activation link, and set your password like that for the first time. After you do that, going forward, you can use the password reset on the login screen.
Awesome. The other question we get a lot of is, I need access to my credit apps. I'm using the Ansira credit application form on my website. Now, what do? I got an email that I have a credit app. So you've got the step-by-step instructions here. We're not going to spend too much time. I want to make sure we've got time to get through all the other goodies. No offense. Again, I feel like I'm offending you a lot. Here's how you access it. Click on Secure Form Leads. And on the next slide, I know we've just got some more tips. So if you're using a dealer track, if you're using a different plugin, a third-party finance form, this is not how you access those. You're going to get those through that tool. We keep these for about a year. And again, we can notify you on whatever email you see. So great stuff. Kayla, thank you. I know you're going to hang out and help with questions if there are any for you. But with that, and again, no offense, let's get to some of the fun stuff. Let's talk about everybody. Yeah, we're going to start with header and navigation. So a few, I'm going to give Kelly a few outs here. GoToWebinar plus internet browser sometimes equals time lag. So we're going to give her some grace here if things are a little slower. And also I asked her to crank the zoom on her browser so that we could see everything a little bit easier here on the slides. So if she fumbles to figure out where things are, that's a first world problem because she's used to how things look on her screen. So I think I can figure it out.
But I think you nailed it. Thank you, Erin. Yeah, so it's a little bigger for me, but then also whenever we're on a webinar, the tool likes to lag a little bit. So we'll just give it patience and you'll watch me visually try to be patient. So as Erin said, we're going to talk about header and all of those things. So before I even get started, I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks for how I like to even interact with the environment. So you can see that I'm in our website manager tool. I came in to the dashboard over those tools that Kayla was showing, and this is that main screen that I'm going to get. But before I go anywhere, I like to do a few things. I like to come click this icon. I like to go see my live site. So I have a visualization of the live site. You'll notice this one's not zoomed in, so I'll go through and zoom in all these other ones as I kind of get there. I also like to do the proof site or the preview site. This is really important if I'm making changes. This is where I like to come in and refresh my screen to see if it's showing exactly what I'm expecting. So let's see here. What am I at on this one? This 150. We'll see how this works here. Come to the home page. There we go. Okay, and lastly, the other thing that I like to do is I like to have 2 screens up if I know I'm going to be creating content, because then I can kind of go back and forth and it makes it easier, or if I need to make changes in my settings tab. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to come here, I right click, I click duplicate, and now it's going to give me that same screen. I'm going to be in the same website, and you know what it did? It also increased my zoom, so I didn't have to do that twice on this one, so that's fancy. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about some headers. So you can come inside to the editor, as we call it, a couple different ways. I can click this hamburger menu. What's great about this is it gives me all of the areas that I have access to based on my user admin. So I can click editor here, or right from this screen, I can click edit website, and I can jump right in. So as that loads, you're going to see a few different other navigation options or architecture kind of information setup. So right here, you have multiple options. Again, this is that preview button that I clicked on the dashboard, but that leads me to this actual screen, which is, you'll notice it says WIP. That means work in progress. So if you're kind of like I am and you're going back and forth, you'll notice that my live site has my regular URL that I'm used to. And if I'm looking in my preview mode, I'm going to see that right there along with some other things. Okay, yeah. So getting into, yep, go ahead.
No, it's a good reminder to preview everything before you do it. And remember screen size. We're going to show you Ansira websites are fully responsive. So, you know, depending on where you are in the world, your web traffic might be primarily mobile. So ensuring you are looking at it on desktop, if you're building content on your desktop, always look at it on mobile. I'm always going to remind you of that. So perfect. So we're in the editor, and there Kelly showed you here on the top left here, you can see desktop. So always important to toggle between two. And
go ahead.
All the time about header and navigation. So that's where we're going to start. Sorry.
Yep. No, you're good. So I go ahead and I access my tools panel. This is going to have a lot of options for me. Again, I can preview my site there. You'll notice within our tools, if you're not familiar, we like to give users many options to do the things they want to do, depending on how they like to do things. So I'm going to go ahead and click my global header. And before we get started, I'm just going to show you around what we have here. So I like to collapse these or close so I can see the different items that I have within the header option. So the header, just so you know, in our tool is defined by all of this information in here that does not include navigation. So it's everything else. So I have an option for my brand. I can add items for my brand. I can add my phone numbers, separate calls to actions, etc. So you can, how I want to deal with search, language. So these are areas you can kind of take a look through. But first, what I like to do is I'm a visual person. So this is, of course, what I do. But I go into our styles option, and I can do some filtering. I can have all the headers available to me, or I can take a look at ones that have top navigation, bottom, or exposed search if I have a certain direction that I'd like to go. What's nice with this panel is when I click it, I can see it change. So I can get a better sense before I even make any adjustments, what this is going to look like. Do I like it? Do I have something that I prefer? So let's just go ahead and change this one, and I'm going to click done. We'll wait for that to load. It's going to tell me that it made changes, and then this side is going to reload. Again, this is going to look really squished a little bit some of the times because I've zoomed in so much. But even right here, so I can come through. Right now, my navigation is at the bottom. If I put my cursor in here and click enter on my keyboard, it's going to refresh this page. And you can see now my work in progress, I have a new layout for my header, right? So, and it's lagging, it's doing that thing.
I think the big takeaway is lots of pre-built options. Don't think you have to get in here and know how to code to change how things look. You know, so click it, look at preview. Big fan of A/B testing. You know, us in dealerships, we use our website every day. You know where to click, you know where to go. Ask the people in your house, ask your friends, you know, how user friendly is this? So, and then of course, look at your data. So great. often get questions. So that's the same place. I see franchise logo, company logo,
Yep.
slogan is we get a lot questions about.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and show you how to do a slogan. So right now I can click here and a slogan will appear, but I have to have a slogan available first in order for it to even show up. So the way that you do that, and here's why I have my tabs open, is I'm going to come through here. I'm going to stay in the same website that I'm in right now, and I'm now going to access our content library. So the content library is really where all of the information, a lot of the information is stored that you're going to see on your website. And because I know this is under that brand or that company, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to find company. So these are the different types of content. And I'm going to select that. And now I want to add this record. So I'm going to go through. You're going to see it load. Again, it's really big. So normally you can see a little bit more. But these are also really quick. These are called pips. And it helps you move around. So if you are in the record, this is just a quick way to kind of move through it. I'm gonna go through, got some pre-made stuff here, so I'm just gonna copy and paste. And so for this slogan section, I'm gonna come down to dealership information. Also, not everyone is gonna have access to all the things that you're seeing on my screen today. It's based on what my permissions are also in user admin. So I'm gonna go ahead and click dealership information, and look, you can see my slogan right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my slogan in that I want. I have some sharing options, so I've got to go through and select that really quickly. I'm going to save and continue. And I know I need to do one more thing. Let's go back to my basic information. Okay, it's throwing me off already. Okay, keywords. So for me to make sure that this is going to show up where I want it to, I need to write the word slogan in the keyword. Okay, once I click off of that, it's going to create this little pill, or I can close it. I'm going to click save and continue.
And I think big takeaways, obviously, Kelly, you're used to playing in this every day. This is what you do, but very straightforward as you go along. So name, title, what else do you need? And this is the format of any of the content on the site. So think about if you're going to add a slide, you're going to need information for text to be on the slide. If it's a text box, same information. So once you start playing around with this and getting more comfortable, it'll be very clear.
That's right. Yep. And I'm gonna go ahead and click publish. It's not attached anywhere. Oh. Maybe I'm having Wi-Fi issues. That's a
Let's
new
go to
one.
webinar. Listen, too many things.
Okay, let's go back in here. You can see again, so we like to be consistent. I want to make sure everyone can still hear me.
Yep, you're great.
Okay, great. So we like to be consistent. So you're going to see that WIP, work in progress, just like I showed it in the link, the URL link for here, right? And you'll notice it here. So we like to, as Aaron was just talking about, have some consistency. So that way, once you get more familiar with it, it's very obvious. So I just want to come back here and make sure that in the basic information, that keyword that I added stayed, even though everything got a little bit mad at me when I clicked publish last time. Okay, there we go. Now you can see that it's live. I haven't set it to anything yet because I haven't checked that box in here, but it's available. So I'm gonna go ahead and check that, click done. It's gonna reload. And now you can see that it now shows here. And again, so some things to note about our preview panel right here, this is basically your preview, is sometimes it's gonna look a little different than it is on your actual site. And I've got some examples to show that later, but that's another reason why I always just check what's going on. And there we go. So right there, now my slogan is available. So that's a great way if you have, you want to provide something for your customers, you got an award, you can use it for a lot of different things. So that's a nice little trick. Yep.
So
great.
Lots more options in the header. I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory. You see those toggle buttons on the right, location, social. A lot of people have schedule service. All of that is here in that global header. For me, it's very user-friendly. You click, you make sure the link is right, you make sure it's going where you want it to, and you go ahead and publish that live. So navigate though, where we've got home, new models, pre-owned. I'm going to move us along just to make sure we get to everything. We get this question a lot is, well, I want another drop down. I need a link directly to my CPO page, or whatever it is. So how do we edit that nav? Because this is another section that's pretty easy to do yourself.
That's great. Yep. So again, there's a couple ways to get there. You can hover on the navigation itself and click the edit icon that will show up when you're not so zoomed in. Or again, you can come to that tools panel and click on the global navigation. My computer's lagging a little bit, so I apologize.
No, you're doing great. Again, it's GoToWebinar. I think we're all used to if you've got a Zoom meeting and Teams, and
it's going to work that
plus
way.
your smart computers.
So you can see right here. Let me try and zoom out just a second for this one because it's a little. It's kind of getting funky. Okay. So all of these changes, it's getting a little funky. I'm going to reload the page here really quickly because there's some drop downs that happens when you're editing your navigation that I'd like people to be able to see. So let's see if I can zoom in just a little bit. But
no, this is fine. I think we're good.
So again, you can see here now I've got that edit button. So I'm going to go ahead and click and open it that way. Also, again, you can go through the tools panel. So as it's loading, I'm going to be able to make changes a couple different ways. It is definitely stuck. Normally, let's see. Let's go ahead and do some fancy stuff here really quick.
It's no problem. So I hope everybody's following along. If you've got two screens, I definitely make sure that you are logged into Website Manager and see if you can make one of these changes now. It was a Nissan dealer we were working with last week. We get a lot of requests. The OEM is recommending that I have this. So that's where we have changes. I recommend if you haven't audited your own navigation recently, this is a great reminder to do that. Make sure you've clicked through everything. You might have a page that you forgot was listed there. I see old trade-in tools often that are no longer active. So this session should sort of be a reminder to go through everything and just take a peek at what's on your site if it's been a while. That's perfect.
Getting a little bit mad at me because I'm making all these changes. Oh, 1 second.
Perfect. This is our first try at a live session, so can't wait to see the survey responses about how internet always fun. This is why we typically don't do live sessions, but thank you for everybody for sticking with us. Okay. What we can do is go back to the slide deck. It's going to be a little funky, and we can go there. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to pull through here. Okay. Okay, can you see right through here?
This looks perfect.
Okay, so this is another way to do it. Hopefully I'll give it a system to recheck and I'll try something else and come back, make some publishing changes. But there's really quick things to do through here. One, you can add a primary link. So we have two things that are really important in that editor panel or editor section. You have your panel, which you're seeing right here, or that preview view, and you can do the same things on both sides. It just really depends on what kind of user you are. Do you like to click on the items, or do you like to come through what some people would consider more advanced, but it's really the same thing. It's just set up as a tree instead of on there. So you'd click a primary link and it will add a new one for you. You come in, you can edit it. This is another add button, but you come in, you click edit, and you can then add different link lists. You can add images, you can add model inventory. It's set up to be really easy for you just to click, add, and move through and click done. Again, hitting that preview. So super easy to do. Like I said, you can add 3 different kinds of content in there. One is a link list. And when you click this add button, what it's going to do, it's going to give you visual options to scroll through. So this panel will go away and you'll now have a panel with images to pick through. One's going to be a link list, then you'll have model inventory, and then it shows you different ways you can organize some content. You can have an image with some text, image only, etc. You can select it, reload, and it will go through and just walk you through all of that. So that's really kind of the, go for it.
You know, we talked at the start about understanding what's possible, because a lot of this you can do yourself, but some of it you might be looking and thinking, okay, that's 2.0 and I'm not here for this. I got cars to sell, and we get that, which is why we have our in the moment support available. I mentioned our digital performance strategists. I'll give you some info on that at the end if you're thinking that sounds good to me. But understanding we've got that mega nav if you want all the photos available, if you just want the drop down list, or if you want to be able to highlight a special with the inventory photos. Make sure you know all of this is available. And if you aren't taking advantage of it, let's make sure you are. Let's get these things on your website. Reach out to your performance strategist, reach out to support, and we'll get you going. Another question we get a lot about is hero slides. So the big slides, the banners, we have a pretty cool tool that is very similar to Photoshop, but I think easier to use because Photoshop scares me, that allows people to edit templates that we provide for them. So talk a little bit about our hero capabilities.
Yeah, so let me talk about that. I'm going to try and go back in the tool and see if that gave it a second, if that's all right, because I think it's going to be, if not, we'll come back to these slides and go through and show that. Okay.
Yeah,
so
important. Oh, you've got it open, perfect. Important notes about the OEM slides. Please remember everything on your site that's available to you from us is fully compliant for whatever OEM you have on that site. So GM, for example, we know there are certain slides that need to be in the first position, need to be in a certain place. We will make sure your site's compliant that way. But we have a ton of templates available to you. Maybe you want to highlight the Equinox. Maybe it's the Trailblazer, you know. So making sure you're taking advantage of some of this, it's really important. As you're going through, Kelly has a question. What's the correct size for hero slides? There's a few, right?
And there's a great question. So there are multiple, depends on what you've selected. So I'll go through and show how you can kind of pick those. And again, doing the preview, but you want to make sure whatever hero slides you're doing, you're selecting the same size for all of them. Because otherwise what's going to happen when you put it on the site is one will look skinnier and the other one will look bigger. So you want to make sure that you are being thoughtful about that. So let's go to my home page. Now, forgive me, I'm in a different demo site, so we'll go through. And you can see
we're making too many changes on one. We made it angry.
We made it angry. So I'm going to go and expand my hero rotator. It says Slide Studio. Slide Studio is what we call this tool. Okay, I'm going to go click Launch Slide Studio, and now it's going to come up. And now you can see you're going to default right here. It's going to have all slides, as Erin mentioned. Like, we make lots of slides. We work with the OEM partners. We make sure that anything that you're going to have access to from us is compliant. So our tool is smart enough to know what you sell on your lots. So we're only going to give you the assets that work for that. So all your slides are going to come through here. We also have the templates option. So this is really cool because we go through and make some creative slides for our customers just because. So this is a great place to look through if you want to be inspired or you don't want to actually do all of the work, which I get. And then the slideshow, this is where the controls happen, okay? So if I go back into templates, I'm going to start that way. So a couple of things just to search in here if you're trying to think of something. So, you know, there is a holiday coming up. So I'm going to search Halloween. Oh, look at that. So there's already stuff available. You have a hero slide. It's telling you the aspect ratio. We also like to make sure that we're putting the size in there, which you can change. We have a 1x1 if you want to use somewhere else, or a banner. What if I want to type in season? Now you have a whole amount of different content that we've created that you can make small changes to or just add some information based on your store. And then for this, let's go and find a service one. So I'm going to check this box. If I click on the slide now, I can go use that new template and it's going to load what we call the Slide Studio. So there are similarities to Photoshop for sure. So we've tried to make it to have some parity, except remove lots of those complex layers. So navigating around, a couple things that you should know. When you're getting a slide from us, it's going to have layers. So what does that look like? So we're going to go ahead and open this panel. It's going to have layers. There's 1 layer, 2 layer, 3, 4, 5, etc. Cool things you can do here. If you see this little caret or the chevron, you can expand it. There's multiple things below this folder, right? What if I don't want it to say, we've got you covered? I'm just going to click on the eyeball and it's gone. If I want this to be bigger, I can click the full screen and see more of it. here are the controls for this panel. I can go through, I can add an image. So if I want to add something off of my computer, I can do that. Here's where I can set these different aspect ratios. So these are the 2 hero slides size aspect ratios we're giving you. Again, just be consistent with that. And then you've got more controls. You can text, add shapes, put a grid overlay on it. You've got the ruler that shows up. If you want to put some guides, if you're really fancy, you can also put some guides on there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, let's see here. I've got the CTA. I don't want that CTA there. I want to do the CTA that's going to come from the design. So I'm going to just turn that layer off. I'm going to close this, close that. And now again, you've got those pips like I talked about. So we're going to go through, come down. I need to name the slide. These locks you may not see. It depends on if you have access again to that option. So we're going to go ahead and click. I've already pre-done this. Alt text. So one of the
things you're going to play, but I want to call it out big, is the scheduling tool. So this is what I love for busy lives. I'm probably stealing your thunder, but
no,
we
share the thunder.
Halloween. We know we want a Halloween slide, but we don't want to look like dum-dums and have it up on November 10th. So you can start date, but most importantly, you can publish a stop date. I think about if this was a service special, publishing that stop date automatically takes it off without you having to remember that. So we've got a few other ways to schedule throughout, but that's one of my favorite things about this, is it helps me accidental dum-dum.
Yep, it just makes it easy so you can, or if you're thinking about something 5 months before it's going to happen and you have that time at that moment, you can use the scheduling feature. Again, you'll see it throughout our stuff. So that way you can be like, oh, I already did it. And then you can have that minor panic attack on October 1st, come in the tool, find, be like, oh, I did it. It's done. So other thing I was also going to mention, alt text. We require that you put alt text on all of the stuff. You can't save it without doing it. So that's one of the things that helps with the compliancy for WCAG. Again, that's already set for a sharing. I'm going to keep coming down. I do not have a promotion, a disclaimer that I need to attach with this, so I don't need to worry about that. Add a link if I want to add a link. So remember I said I was going to turn off that layer at the top and I was going to add my own link. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I want it to be primary. So you have 3 different options for links. Basically, it just means what they look like on the site. Primary is a bigger color. Secondary is a little more subdued, but they all have kind of that same shape. And tertiary is just going to be text. So again, I got to put that label there. So I'm going to say schedule service, my mouse over text. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste here. Now, one of the things I love is I can do a custom, but I can just find a page on my site. So if I select page on my site, all I got to do is click into here and I come down and I'm going to do, let's see here. I'm going to do my service appointment form. I'm going to click done. The link has now successfully been added, right? And then there's more things. So here is keywords if I want to do specific keywords for it. And that's something that's a little bit more advanced, but you saw me do it with the slogan. If you know what you're doing, it works. This works really well. If you want to make sure that you create some slides that only show up in one of your Slide Studio buckets, and I'll talk about that in a second. Personalization, if you were making sure that someone was just going to get a specific model when they're on your site for the first party cookies that we have, you can do that here. So I'm going to go ahead and save.
Yes, and you showed some fancy ways to edit the slide. For those who are basic, you can click on the text on the slide and edit there too. Lots of different ways for every user.
Yep. So you just come in and you just select it. Okay. And then this other panel, thanks, Erin, I can pull out and I can do those layers again. And I neglected to show the styles panel, which is going to show you a lot of things, or the font. So I can change the fonts. I can go through and make all kinds of changes. My system is reloading for me because I clicked something.
I know we've said it a few times, but out of the box, the templates available to you are compliant. Now, if you go onto your slide and say we're the #1 dealership in the universe, and that's not compliant, You got to protect yourself. Make sure everything you're editing and updating is fully compliant. We are here to help. If you need help submitting or you have questions, our team can usually help too.
That's right. Okay, so now I went into my slideshow tab, and so this is where I've got my different buckets for slides. So this works really important because if I have intent, so that means I've got personalization, I want certain shoppers to see certain models. That's where I'd put that personalization. I'd add that model here, and then it will go into this bucket when I add it. I have intent for promotion. I have all different kinds of things that you can do. So I'm going to click into this one, and I'm going to add a slide manually. And I'm going to, let's see, I did this. Oh, hold on. I wonder if
yeah, our personalization features are some of the coolest things about our websites. We can tailor the 4 out of 5 of your shoppers when they hit your website. I use the example. If I am a leaf shopper, I certainly don't want to see a Titan as the first thing when I get to the website. That's not personalized to me. I'm used to, I'm used to Amazon, where it reminds me things I looked at and spend more money. So our personalization on these buckets really allow you to do that. This is one of the things our digital performance strategists really work on with our dealers is, all right, let's tailor make that message. If we've got specific, again, model specific, if it's, SUV versus a specific SUV, we can do all of that. So getting these buckets set right is really important for that. And it's something our team definitely works on with you.
Yeah. So this is not working for me right now. Again, I think it's because we're having that lag. So I'll come back and maybe remove it and put it back in there. But again, really simple. All you got to do is you click add manual. It will show up. Trust me. I can even put a little video together later. I've done it many times. And then you just add it and go through and preview on that site, and it's going to show up, which is pretty slick. So we try to make sure it's very automated for you, so that way you don't have to stress out about, did I do it right? All those sorts of things. Okay, I'm gonna exit out of here because I want to be thoughtful of time. But again, what's really nice is all of those templates, like Erin was talking about, trying to make sure that we're saving everybody time, going through and doing the work, a little bit of that work before you, so that way when you have time to do something, you can and schedule it if it makes sense.
Yeah, think about if extra bonus cash is released during the month. You don't have to start a new slide from scratch. You can go in, edit what's already there, and push it live in a matter of minutes. That's the kind of thing that I know as dealers, you're frantically thinking, great, I'm excited for more bonus cash. I'm excited about a different incentive, but now I have to contact my agency and have them redo the design and all that of the artwork. Nope, you can edit here in the slide studio. It's great. Perfect. So I asked a few other things. We showed how to create content in that content library from scratch. So if you've got an image, add it. But one of the things that I think a lot of our dealers don't realize that we have is pre-built content. We, again, try to do a lot of this work for you to make it easy for you to add content to your website and then personalize it for your own store. So I think if you'd like, rather than creating a landing page from scratch, we can talk about how that pre-built content is. You decide what's going to be easiest for you.
Let's see if the tool is going to work for me, because it's so slick. And if not, we've got the great takeaways. So again, we have pre-built content, just like the templates. And I'm going to go through. I clicked pages, add page. I put the name there. We're going to show you the URL, so that way you're aware of how it's going to present to your customers. I'm going to go ahead and click add.
So think of new model landing page, for example, something new is coming. Have a sales event that you want to have an entire landing page for. This is something you get to build as many yourself. Again, our team can help you. Digital performance strategists do this all the time. So pages, add a page, and here we are.
That's right. So you saw that it reloaded. It gives me this big button. I'm going to add something to this page. Zoom out just a little bit here. And so I selected the pre-built content gallery, and now all of a sudden I have a lot of content that somebody else made behind the scenes. The elves were working, and I'm going to add some content really quickly to the site. First, what I want to do is I'd like to put, I know I want to do an inventory search. but I want to see what kinds of inventory search are shoppers actually clicking on more frequently. So these two buttons up here are going to filter the content. If you click shopper favorite, that every 30 days, we find out which content is getting clicked the most of our entire network, which means it's resonating more with consumers. So you might want to add that because it's getting high engagement. Cycles through every 30 days, right? You may not see changes to the content because it's good content. And then trending is ones that have been added the most. So I clicked my shopper favorite. I now have this little thumbs up. I'm going to scroll down here, and now I'm just looking for the one that I think I want to use. This looks pretty interesting to me. I'm going to click enlarge so I can see actually up close what it's going to look like. Close that. That sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and add that one. Now let's see here. I'm going to undo this. Let's search. I want to do some links. So let's see what kind of links I have, because I want to have some buttons and some links for shoppers to go through. I like this one. You can see it's getting added down here below. Let's see, what else do I want to do?
Right, so the number one, top of the page, number two, you can scoot them around very easily, but you're creating a page without doing a whole lot of work. And then you're going to be able to go all this text and text, images, everything is editable. This is great.
Everything is editable. So I'm going to click here. Like Erin said, I can move things around if I want to, and it will put it in order. You'll notice it was also creating it over here on the left-hand side for me. So I can see what it's going to look like. It's also like just little nuances. These buttons are rounded. These ones are square. That's because these were created at our base level. And so it had a different design attached. And this one, when it gets added to your page, is taking what you've already set up for. So I like those. I'm going to click use selected. And like Erin said, my page is done. So what's really nice about that is it's put content together. I didn't have to go through and create all of it myself. Now I can just come through and make some updates. Let's let that reload. And let's see, let's get my preview.
Yeah, we saw often in the text, you see, I think it's the percentage sign, dealer name.
Yep.
You know, it's merge fields. We're used to that in CRMs, and it's going to autofill based on the information in your settings for your website. But again, totally editable. Maybe your setting, you know, maybe your dealership name has Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, but you'd rather have automotive. You can, you know, that remove the merge field and type it the way you want.
Yep. So again, you just click right in here. Oh, it's doing that thing again. Percent symbol, it's going to pull down everything that we have, but you can see once I click into it, it's showing what that autofill tag, that's the fancy word for it. And I've got a few of them in here. So it's putting that in there, but as soon as I click cancel or save, now it's actually showing my own name because it's pulling from my settings. The other thing that's in here that's nice is if I wanted to make this a different color, I could come and click this option and you'll see all the colors that I have. So these are ones that I've added for myself. It doesn't matter if I added them inside Studio. It doesn't matter if I added them to a record or if I add them here. It's going to give me all the colors I've added recently. But what's really slick is it's going to bring your current design colors. So when you go through, and if we have time, I'll show that. If you want to add a design or change a design, you always have to pick a color palette. And these are those colors here. So even if you schedule it, because of course you can, and it changes, this will change for you. And then the other thing that it does is it knows what you're selling, like I said. So it's going to pull through all of the branded colors. We work with all the OEMs, so you don't have to worry, is this the right color for my brands? Is it going to keep me compliant? The answer is yes, right? I select it, it goes through, it adds it. It also put it into recent colors because that's there. Move this around and click save. So those are some of the really nice things with our rich text editor that you can do. That's what we call that. But again, clicking through here or just clicking on the side. Go ahead, Erin.
Yes, no, so you built a landing page in about 3 minutes, which is fantastic. We work with a lot of dealer groups. So one of the things I wanted to make sure that we highlighted, and again, the slides have this step-by-step, is now we've got 2 sites. We've got a Nissan site and we have a Honda site. And we want to take this, I don't want to redo all this work, even though it was so fast. I just want to copy this page to my other site. We can do that. Any page that you own in your, or any website, excuse me, that you own or an admin, we can move from one site to the other. So can you show us how easy that is?
Yep, you got it. So you're going to find it again 2 ways. One, it's going to be this little icon right here, or if I select pages and I type in the name of that page I know, it's going to pull me that list and you'll see it right here. Also, we're going to give you the option, if you can, any landing page like I just added, you can do this for. So I'm going to click that button and I now have 2 options. So one, I can copy this page to the site that I'm currently working on right now. What if I want to adjust it slightly, but I like everything about it? That's an easy way to do it. Or to what Erin was saying is, what if I want to share it? So I'm going to go through, I click copy the page to another website. I can pick, depending on the size of your rooftop, I can send it to 10 different sites at once, which is a crazy time saver, right? If you're having to do this over and over again, or just one. Type in the web ID or the dealer name. I'm going to send it to myself. There I am, right? And now I'm going to click copy. It tells me to be patient, so I will, even though I'm not. And I'm going to come to, it does come very well. I'm going to now come to that site I sent it to. I'm going to go into the editor. Because what if I don't own both of these? I'm not talking to the person that's responsible for this site. I now have a little indicator here that I didn't have before. So I'm like, what's that? So if I click pages, I'm going to have a received page section. So it's a copy of. So we're always going to put a copy of in front of whatever you named that page. So that way it doesn't have to be, it's not going to be a duplicate URL, unless of course you want it to, but that gets to be your choice. And before you can do anything on this page that was sent to you that maybe you didn't know about, we recommend you update the page name, you review the content, review any SEO, and then publish it. So another thing that's important to know is this is not getting published just because you send it. We're just sending it. It's a work in progress page, so it's not going to be on your live site until it's reviewed and published. And then of course you have to find a link for it. So you probably want to add it to somewhere so people can access it. Very and then true. Another thing, look at this. Yeah. I have pink ribbon as my design. So my buttons are square and they're pink. So again, it is smart enough to know the difference and it's going to make the adjustments because of that, which is pretty cool.
That is awesome. So one of my favorite features, if you're not using that and you're a part of a dealer group, make sure you take advantage. Again, the slide in the handout has all the information. You've shown how to edit content. So since we have in the deck, we get questions. I want to add a PDF. I want to add a lead form. All of that is available. Check the handouts, check the help site. Make sure you are. And one thing, the last thing I think here in the last few minutes I want to show, we talked about scheduling hero slides, but you showed pink ribbon, breast cancer awareness.
Yep.
We have a ton of designs available, but pre-scheduling things again is available. So let's talk a little design here before the end. And if anybody's got a question, go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll make sure we get to it live here.
Yeah, perfect. So again, I clicked, you probably saw that, I clicked the design button, that big button on the top. And what's great about me coming over to this site is I already have a scheduled design. I'll show you how to do it. And I have it scheduled for the month of October. I did this probably a few months ago. And when I came to my site, I was like, look at that, it's already done. You also have a thing called the default design here. What does that mean? That means if I don't have anything scheduled, this is what will show up on my website. But let's say I wanted to add another one. So let's schedule another design. And this drop-down list is going to have a lot of things. Some are, you know, you're getting to see my demo site right now, so it's a little funny. So let's do, I want to do the, let's do Whimsical Winter. Yeah, so Whimsical Winter, we're going to schedule that. Again, those color palettes, like I talked about, they are WCAG compliant. So we make sure that when we make changes on your site because of content adjustments or color background changes, these things will work correctly. So that way they're seen well. I can choose gutters, scroll styles are interesting. What if I want something to slide in and I don't even know what that means? Well, I'm going to select it. And as I scroll here, it should show, but it's not going to today because it's mad at me for zooming in.
It is
So
mad.
that's it. It is mad at me. I can change the button size, right? I can do a light curve if I want. Again, this is mad at me. Also the fonts, here's another thing to note with your fonts is we're only going to show you the fonts that are compliant for the brands that you sell. But the most important reason and why Erin brought me here is so that way I can schedule it. So Whimsical Winter, I want that to start in December and I'd like it to leave at the end of the month. I'm going to click save. It now tells me that I have an upcoming schedule. It's this color because it's not published yet. It tells me that, which is great. And then I can go through and publish my website. So I'm going to go and publish that website, which means it's now going to show up on the 1st of December. And also my pink ribbon is going to come off after October, and my distinctly forward, as we call it, will show up in November. So I'll have 3 design changes. The content doesn't change. It's just what it does with some of these little accent colors and treatments, etc. So pretty slick.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to have you bring us back to the slide deck. Again, hopefully we've shown you a few things that are going to help you in your day-to-day. Hopefully we've inspired at least maybe a new design. I've said this on a previous webinar, shockingly enough, pink looks good on everyone if Barbie's taught us nothing. So if you'd like some pink buttons, go ahead. Hit us back one slide. We've got additional resources, the help site, learn@ansira.com. It is available to all of you. We've got a blog, we've got white papers, we've got our past webinars, recordings, all on ansira.com as well. And then again, maybe for some of you, we overwhelmed you. Maybe you thought, oof, magoof, that is too much for me to manage on my own. As always, we've got our in the moment support ready to help you. But back one more slide, Kelly. I've mentioned a few times our digital performance strategists, which come with website performance management. So for some of you, you need that person, you need that digital quarterback, that extension of your marketing team who's going to offer you proactive support. These people do monthly strategy calls. They make sure your strategy on your website ties to what's going on in store. They'll go through our Google Analytics data and reporting. We've got some fantastic Looker Studio reports that come with this service. So for many of you, this might be a better fit than DIY, which we love and we are here for. So if you want more information, you can email me at webinars@ansira.com and we are happy to help. So with that, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we test out this live session. I think it was great. I think we got a few learnings and things we can improve for next time too. So please take a second, tell us how we did on the survey. And I appreciate all of you, and we will see you next time.